and I think they're pretty awesome. And you're about to figure that out too. So without further ado, let's have them join us today on the stage.
Woo!
Experiences with campus involvement. We have representatives from Academic Success Center, Study Abroad, Graduate College, Pre-Professional Advising Center, and of course, Career Services. Because time is limited, we will keep the same speaking order. We will start on the outside and then work our way in. It's our hope that we can have questions and answers at the end. If not, don't worry. All you have to do is hang out with us a little bit longer, and during refreshments and networking, you can talk to them and ask them any questions that you may have. So with that being said, to our panelists, thank you for joining us today. We ask that you keep in mind of each other, that you give each other that 3 to 5 minutes speech that you have, and then everyone can get a turn to share. So let's start with introducing yourself by sharing your name, your major, your year in college, the department that you're representing today. And we'll go with you.
Hi everyone, my name is Shibi. I'm a 4th year biology major at MLB. I'm actually walking in 2 weeks, so that's pretty cool. And I recognize faces now. Okay, this is interesting. And I'm representing the Academic Success Center Tutoring and Supplemental Instruction Program. I personally work as a supplemental instructor.
Hi everyone, my name is Avery Malay. I am a 2nd year graduate student on the Masters of Public Health. In the Masters of Public Health on the Healthcare Administration and Policy track. It's going to fit with my diploma, I promise. And I represent the Academic Success Center Coaching. I am a graduate coach.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Elias Patricio. I'm a senior in the Urban Studies degree program. I also have 2 minors, the first of being the Brookings Public Policy minor, and the second one in Criminal Justice. The other part? Oh, I'm representing the graduate college here today because I completed both the Grad Rebel Advantage program and the RAM program, which you'll hear about. But I'm also here representing the Office of Undergraduate Research and Brookings Mountain West. Wow.
Hi everyone, I'm Tristan Ostorio. I'm a 4th year architecture student, and I am representing the Career Services / College of Fine Arts. It's a bit of an identity crisis that
Hi, I'm Jasmine. I'm a 4th year biology major, also walking in 2 weeks. I'm representing the Department of Pre-Professional Advising, and I've actually been going to them since I was a freshman, so very happy to represent them today.
Hi, my name is Samantha. I'm a 4th year criminal justice major with a minor in psychology. I am representing international programs or study abroad, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys about it.
Okay, so I like this energy, and I also like the fact that we have a lot of knowledge on this stage today. So I ask that you listen to their stories, and then maybe there's just a piece for yourself, and then even consider or envision yourself sitting up here next year, because we want to keep this going. So Shabi, the first question we ask today is, what is a major takeaway from your experience with the department you are representing today?
So as I said, I work as a supplemental instructor in the Academic Success Center. I think one of the biggest takeaways I've gotten is the importance of peer-to-peer communication and collaboration. A lot of people get confused as to what supplemental instruction is because they're like, I already have a professor. Why do I need to go to that? But supplemental instruction is where I make a space conducive to peer-to-peer collaboration, and I'm kind of just there guiding you guys and seeing what knowledge gaps there are that I could help fill in. But I firsthand witnessed these past 2 semesters how making those relationships with your peers in such an environment not only makes you feel more comfortable attending lecture, but also realizing everyone is as confused as you. We're all just going through this together. Whether it's through redirecting questions or pairing students together, or even a game like Kahoot. I know everyone loves Kahoot. Recently did a Kahoot, everyone loved it. I've seen how those relationships translate to the actual in-person lecture and really creates a lot of good energy when it comes to your classes.
That's a great answer, and I like that connection to the peer-to-peer. But we're going to keep you on the spot because we know you have somewhere else to be. And I'm going to go ahead and ask you the second question.
What is one thing you want to share with incoming second-year students?
So I think a big thing second-year students are afraid of is like keeping that momentum going. I know for me, my first year was actually my worst year in undergrad. I had a very low GPA in my first year. So I was scared, like, is this gonna keep going? Like, how am I gonna keep 3 more years of this? And for some of you, you may have done really well your first year, and that's honestly awesome, and major props to you. But people are really afraid to utilize UNLV resources because you're like, I don't even know what I would go if what I would do if I go to that office, or I've like heard of the program, but I don't think I have enough credentials to even like access those resources yet. Don't overthink it. Just go. I promise that there are people there wanting to help you, and those resources are made no matter what your level is, whether you're a first-year student or a senior. I personally have access to a lot of the resources in this room, and I think it's really imperative to student success and making those support structures that I know a lot of us don't come in with. I know I didn't have that kind of support structure going in.
Nice. So where would you say you were able to access the information to the resources? So where would you recommend that they go to find out about the resources that benefited you?
Go to every single table. That's important. Get your t-shirt. But big one for me was advising, like College of Sciences advising. Shout out to Lay, I don't know where they are. But advising for me was really important. I actually transferred to UNLV from a completely different institution. And so I didn't know anything about UNLV really going in. I just kind of knew what my major was, but I didn't know how like the different offices worked and stuff. But through advising, I actually got connected with like PPAC. I got to meet PPAC. And then through my classes, I got to meet ASC, who I ended up working for, so that's awesome. And through advising, I also found out about peer mentoring. So you see, there's a lot of connections you build. One connection can get you a ton of connections. So that first leap of faith in yourself is a major, major problem. I know you all can do it. I know there's a lot of self-doubt, but everyone can do it.
I feel your passion. I'm sorry to see you go, but we appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Can we give Shabia a hand?
Yes, Shabia.
All right. Okay, so Avery, I know you remembered all the questions, so you just take it away. So we're going to go back, panel, to the first question. What is a major takeaway from your experience with the department you are representing?
Well, everyone, I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm not originally from Las Vegas or Nevada, so I am actually from Maryland. And I just want to say that working at the Academic Success Center has been a great part of me being more involved on campus and also learning more about the resources not only afforded to me as a graduate student, but also to you all as undergraduate students. It's a great place to learn foundationally, you know, where to begin, where to start thinking about what are my next steps, what does my major look like, do I see myself in the College of Sciences, or how do I talk to my professor about an internship or gaining more research experience and things like that. So I think the biggest takeaway is helping students build that confidence or find that inner that lion to just speak up and make the decisions that will be a catalyst to their future, just graduation and other things beyond that, like career services and also graduate school. You can be like me, maybe you're out of state somewhere, who knows, but it's a great place to begin just making those decisions and thinking about those long-term impacts.
Nice. And I like that you were able to share that being uncertain is okay. To have those questions is a part of the process. And so I think that's very valuable information right there. Carmen, same question. What is a major takeaway from your experience with the department you're representing?
Thank you. So because I'm representing multiple organizations and departments on campus, I will say that the major takeaway for me has been synergy. Synergy, synergy, synergy. And this I preface by saying, don't be afraid to take on too much. I know that the too much sounds like, oh, I don't know if I could handle all that, but I have been able to do it because of those connections that we were just talking about, because there's always something in each of the programs to keep you accountable. For example, the Grad Rebel Advantage program hosted by the Grad College is meant for freshmen and sophomores with a certain course and credit requirements to prepare you for grad school. I'm on a PhD. I know that that's a decision that we aren't ready to make very early on in that path, but you can at least ask questions. And so some of the requirements are to go to workshops, make connections with other scholars, see your advising center. That's one of the requirements. To attend a cultural event, they help you keep yourself accountable. And that's something that I could not have done without. So that led me to, from Grad Rebel to the Research and Mentorship Program, and I've been involved with the Office of Undergraduate Research, who have funded me. McNair has also funded me in preparation for that graduate pathway that I want to take for myself. So the biggest takeaway is synergy.
Thank you, that was a great answer. Okay, so we're gonna move on, same question.
All right, so I work with Career Services, and fun fact, I've only worked there since February, so I've learned a lot in my very short time. And a lot of it came from experience that I already did through student organizations on campus, but we'll just focus on the Career Services part of it today. So I am the College of Fine Arts Peer Mentor Coach. It's a new position where we exclusively focus on assisting those in the College of Fine Arts. And the reason for this position is really interesting. There's a lot of business and STEM things that are, really easy to do with resumes and your CV letters and all those other things. But for fine arts, it requires a little more attention to detail. You make your resume, you make your cover letters, but you also may need a portfolio. You may need to learn how to specialize in mock interviews and things like that. So getting that specialized practice for those in the College of Fine Arts is extremely important. And since this hasn't happened before, it's been a great challenge in learning and meeting with different students. One of my first appointments I had, it was a music major, and it's like, okay, how do we find opportunities career-wise for a music major? We all know it's hard. Not everyone's gonna be the next rock star, next big group, but it's about finding those connections and working with those in the UNLV and the College of Fine Arts. And using all those connections together to find opportunities for students based on their unique circumstances. So my biggest takeaway from working with Career Services is being able to meet with students with unique needs and being able to connect them in places where their needs can be addressed as well.
Nice. So I'm going to ask for some of that inside knowledge because, when you have access to information, you want to try to get those answers right up front. So my question would be, when should we be thinking about our resume and cover letter? Is there a time that's too soon, or what's your recommendation? I know you've been there since February, but I'm thinking you might have the answer to this one.
The best answer, and the only answer, is it's never too early to start thinking about it. You may start in high school. I know some people who started in middle school. And it's okay if you haven't started yet in college. That's what we're here for. I highly recommend you come to Career Services and get started on something. Even if you don't have a job, if you have other experience in organizations or things like that, we can pull a lot of good information out of that and get you set up for your first big interview. Getting that first interview, that first job is always the hardest, and we're here to help you with that, no matter what stage you're at in your academic career at UNLV.
Nice, thank you. Jasmine, what is a major takeaway from your experience with the department you're representing?
One of the biggest takeaways that I can say many students attest to with PPAC is that it really helps you find your why. When you're applying to professional schools, a lot of them are going to ask you, why do you want to go to medical school? Why do you want to go to dental school? Why do you want to go to occupational therapy or whatnot? And a lot of people struggle with that. But one of the things that PPAC truly helped me with was that finding that why and affirming it. They offered me so many different opportunities, with becoming a medical assistant and really addressing those different gaps that I have in my experience. And that, I think, truly affirmed for me, why did I want to go into medicine? And I can say, for a lot of my peers, when I ask them, oh, do you know your why? Do you know exactly what's motivating you? And, for a lot of my proteges that I've had, a lot of them don't know what to do. And the first thing I say is go to PPAC, because when I was confused as a young biology major, I had no idea what I wanted to do and why I wanted to go into medicine. I just knew I wanted to. And then over the years, as I went to the different appointments I've had, Ashley and Melissa could say I've been in their office so often, just trying to find that reason. And over time, I finally went back and I realized, okay, my why do I want to become a doctor is, rooted back to my personal experiences with medicine, with emergency medicine. I've been able to build upon that only because of the opportunities they've honestly guided me to. So, honestly, the biggest takeaway is, you're gonna find your why. And they either, through however many appointments you have with them, they're gonna help you find it.
Wow, thank you. So I do want to ask you, how does your why translate professionally? So I know that you were figuring that out yourself because Ashley and her team was coaching you to understand that. Where will you see that come to fruition when they are thinking about medical school? So is that going to be in the application process?
So there's a section in the medical school application called the personal statement. You only have a limited amount of characters, about like 5,000, where you basically talk about why you want to go to medical school. And that's basically the section that you have to showcase exactly why you want to go into medicine. It's not talking about everything and anything that you've done. I mean, they can already see that in your experiences section. It's more so about focusing on those few and meaningful activities that you've had that contribute to your story.
Right.
Like for me, my theme has always been education. That's the one thing I've always like emphasized upon when I was doing all the various activities in college. And they truly helped me understand that over time, seeing this continuous theme among all the different things I did.
Great, thank you. And I think it's important to note that the why can also translate in other areas. So if you're thinking about scholarships, you might have to give a why there. If you're thinking about being involved in a campus organization, they might ask you why. So why is very significant, and I'm glad that you brought that up today. All right. So we have Samantha. What is your major takeaway from your experience with the department you are representing?
So another fun fact, I also started in February. So a lot of my experience comes from being an actual student and going to them. And they are such a big help, and I mean it just like everybody else. We're here to help you. We are just as excited that you want to go abroad, that you're going abroad. And for me, going abroad was a big step because I'm an only child. I was born and raised here. I was very protected. And so going out and gaining that independence on my own without my parents being there all the time was really important to me. And the office was a big help in that, in preparing me to go abroad, what I should potentially worry about, hearing their experiences abroad, alums' experiences abroad, was really helpful to me. And we're definitely here to help you in any way, shape, or form. There's no stupid questions. We ask a lot of questions, call multiple times, like, just ask. That's like the biggest thing. If you don't ask, you never know.
What would you say is the most challenging step as far as wanting to be a part of this program and have that experience?
I think taking the step itself is the hardest part. Because it's so easy for you to say, I want to do this, I want to study here, but to physically take that step to reach out to someone and say, help me get there, that's the hardest part.
You're giving me chills. You're about to make me start dancing on this stage, and it's not stable enough. All right, Samantha. Okay. All right, let me stay focused, you all. That's why I have these cards here to keep me on track. All right, so we're going back. Avery, what is one thing you want to share with incoming second-year students?
It's funny. So I've worked with a lot of sophomores this year as we transitioned out of COVID from, purely virtual to partially in person. Now it's like, 80, 20, and then it's going to be like 100% in the fall. So with that being said, there's been a lot of change that's happened over the past 2 years, and I want to commend you all for, still going to school throughout that and completing your first year. Unfortunately, I have had some students who did not make it through their first year, despite the encouragement, despite the resources. So I do commend you all for, making it this far and continuing with your education. And I think that's something that people should be reminded of, is that there's been a lot that's been going on outside of you and your thoughts and your progress and your process. And just being able to sustain yourself and move through that, it's amazing because not everyone can do it. So my thing for second year students is like, I tell my students when they come in, like, reflect back on that personal statement and see why you came to UNLV, because is that still your same reason why you're here? Did it change? What's your motivating factor? Like, what's actually keeping you going? What changed over the past year? So then you can keep yourself accountable and like, wow, like, I'm not here and I'm not just a mess up. Like, I'm truly challenging myself. I'm changing my perspective. I'm gaining new knowledge. I'm diversifying my thought and even based on how you're looking back and seeing that change over time. If not, come to the Academic Success Center and we can talk about it.
I love it. Avery is letting us know it's okay and very appropriate to be flexible, especially when thinking about yourself in today's climate. So I appreciate that. Okay, same question. What is one thing you want to share with incoming second-year students?
Find a mentor and research. And when I say find a mentor, I actually mean build a community of mentors. Through the Grad Rebel Advantage program, I was paired with my graduate mentor, so I was a sophomore at the time, and Sean was in my discipline, criminal justice. I am a criminal justice minor. Since starting Grad Rebel, he and I have been invited to publish in the first queer criminology textbook of its kind in our discipline. We have presented domestic violence research at 2 national conferences, as well as the Office of Undergraduate Research Symposium and GPSA, the Graduate and Professional Symposium. I cannot say enough good words about Sean and anybody else at UNLV who has mentored me. Within Brookings Mountain West, for instance, Dr. Caitlin Saladino is the director of the program. She has written me letters of recommendation. She has sat with me for hours through presentations, practicing. These people are happy to help you. And I understand that feeling now because that's why I'm on the stage, you guys. That's why I'm here trying to talk about this, trying to pay it forward, and that's something that you will always have in mind the minute that you start to see your rewards coming in from putting in all that hard work that you're doing now. So find a community of mentors, whether that's advising, whether that's your principal investigator. And this is going to lead to the second thing, which is get into research. Research sparked my passion for everything that I do. Urban studies is a very interdisciplinary field, and so I'm the kind of person where I don't like to live with myself, and I am very flexible with my own timeline. It's the kind of thing where I can say, yes, my specialty is criminal justice and criminology, but I'm doing a research study on this and a research study on that, and I've done the groundwork for a research study. I've also managed my own project, and that is all possible because of other people. So nobody does any of this alone, but definitely research. So whether that's through OUR or in class or through part of a graduate preparation program like Grad Rebel or RAMP, definitely try it out. Even if you don't think that your field calls for it, even if you're like, well, I'm not a biology major, or I'm in the business school, what is that? Do it. Find your way to formulate a research question, and I'm sure the fine art guy will tell you how to do that in his field.
Wait, don't pass yet. That was a lot there. We want to unpack that a little bit. So with research, I know that's a heavy topic. A lot of us are just here to get through the classes, and then you're adding on research, which is another layer, which is not always required, as you just said. But if I am interested in research and I am trying to take action, take that first step, I know you mentioned your mentor. How else can I get involved in research? Is that something I should expect my professors to come and say, hey, guess what, Samantha, I want you to go and do this type of research?
It is not.
Okay, let's clear it up. Let's find out.
I got lucky, and I happened to be sitting in class one day when my criminology professor, because I kept raising my hand, I'm that student, and he's like, hey, you speak Spanish, right? I said, yeah. He's like, how about you join my research study? That would never happen, you guys, okay? You have to go and talk to them. You have to show them that you're dedicated and passionate about what they're doing. And so my first step really was just kind of landed in my lap. But if I had to do it over again, I would say, first of all, go see me at that table over there so I can show you the Office of Undergraduate Research resources that they have. So they have workshops, funding, advising, one-on-one mentoring, and even through those programs, they work with other campus organizations to make a lot of things happen. So that is why I'm representing all of them at once. But the main thing is to ask questions and talk to people who've already done it. Currently, I'm employed as a student researcher at Brookings Mountain West. I didn't know that the program even existed before I went up to Greenspun Advising on the 4th floor. So shout out to Remy and Kamisha, Greenspun. But yeah, it's going to be more than one source, and it's going to be more than one idea, depending on who you are.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, Tristan, what is one thing you want to share?
Well, I couldn't really narrow it down to one, so I have two. One's a little similar, but my biggest influence as a student in UNLV was joining a student organization. I'm an architecture student, and we have several. We have a general architecture organization, we have a landscape architecture, and we also have interior design, depending on what concentration you want to do. So that really solidified my entire experience in UNLV. So after leadership position after leader position, now I'm finding myself as a national officer of the organization. So just getting those connections and developing your personal skills, but also developing those around you. When you have like a strong following, and that ensures the next generation of students will be able to succeed just as you did. But before that, I was actually a civil engineering student, and that happened when I got to Calculus 2, and surprise, surprise, Calculus 2, not super easy. So I switched to architecture. So my biggest piece of advice really is just find something that you're passionate about. Because I stayed up late in engineering, relatively late, trying to understand all the math and everything like that. But then I switched to architecture, and I'm staying up late, like not even close to the same amount. Like I'm sleeping 4 hours a night, right? But I love what I do, and there's absolutely nothing I would rather do more with my time than that. And so all that involvement in architecture and all those organizations is what led me to getting this job with Career Services. Helping students with their resumes, helping students with their portfolios, preparing them for interviews and things like that. So even if you may not see where you're going immediately, it's okay to take a step back or take a step to the side, as long as you just keep moving forward. It's okay to change your major. You're not married to it. It's all right. I had a huge identity crisis when I changed my major, but it's the best thing I've ever done. And don't be afraid to go to tutoring. I went to tutoring and I still didn't understand calc, but that's not their fault. It's because I just visually couldn't see the series and everything like that. But tutoring helped me out with chemistry and all that good stuff. So go to tutoring. It's up on the second floor, the lead library, and also go see your academic advisors. Please come to Career Services and get your resumes started at any point whenever you're ready.
So Tristan, you're mentioning that networking piece, which is very important. How many letters of recommendation or references should students be thinking about for when they're ready to go and apply for jobs? Because they should technically be building those relationships now, correct?
Yes, yeah. Everything you do, you're building relationships. Whether that's just talking to your professors, to you go to their office hours. Going to office hours for your core professors is one of the most foundational things you can do. Because it's just you and the professor, you're talking about what's important to you guys. And that's how you begin to have that genuine connection, not just, you're my professor, I go to your class, I get the work done. Now you're opening that second level of relationship there. So as far as like amount of letters of recommendation, it's okay, just have one. But as long as it's a really good letter of recommendation, that's all it takes. I usually roll with maybe 2. That's usually my sweet number for letters of recommendation. So that's
I love that you have a sweet number for letters of recommendation. Like that's some serious, that's serious right there. Thank you for that. So Jasmine, same question. What do you want to share with second year students?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. When I started at UNLV, I was actually a nursing major. I knew that I wanted to do medicine, but I just didn't know how to do it, where to start. I just kind of went along with everyone else at my high school. They all went into nursing, so I was like, I'll do the same thing. And then I got in there and I realized I hate it. I'm sorry. I was like, this is not for me. Only class that I truly enjoyed was biology. So back then, my biology professor, she was like very passionate about what she was teaching about, and I was like, okay. I was like, okay, I'm actually gonna think about switching. I went to my health sciences advising back then, and I was like, maybe I want to become a doctor. I don't know where to even start. And they're the ones who actually told me, there's this cool place called PPAC on campus. You should probably go, even thinking about it. So from there, I just kind of like changed my major and whatnot, and I just started asking as many questions as I could to all the different advisors that I had. Even College of Sciences, PPAC, even though it was starting technically late because, I didn't know what I was doing for like the first year, just trying to get the hang of things. They were very patient with me. They never told me no. That's one of the key things that I've always loved about PPAC is that they're never going to discourage you away from kind of doing what you want to do. They're going to try to, head you into the right direction if you are going a little bit off course, but they're not going to be like, you're not capable. They would never say that. So that's one of the things I truly admired just about them. And about like all the different advising centers, they're never going to be like, no, this isn't right for you. Like, if that's what you want to do, then go for it. It's never too late to like do whatever you want to do. Even though like I change my major. I'm still graduating on time, you know. So it just takes a little bit more effort, you know, a little bit more time, but it's definitely still doable.
Would you find the changing of your major, was it a challenging process, or?
I think at the beginning, I wasn't very prepared for like the rigor classes that were coming up, but as I like learned more about resources like SI from Academic Success, they saved my life for chemistry. I'm not even kidding you. Like, I went to every single SI session I had for OChem. That's the only reason why I passed those classes. I truly think that using those resources is like definitely the #1 way to really get through like all those challenging courses that you have.
Thank you. And Samantha, what do you want to share?
So, my fun. Study abroad. Like, I think mine's really straightforward. Study abroad. I think a lot of the alumni that I've talked to that gone through UNLV, everybody always said their one regret throughout college was, I didn't study abroad. I wish I studied abroad. And that's what gave me the push to study abroad. And so I understand that sometimes financially, if you guys think it's not doable, but it is. There's scholarships out here. We have secrets that we can tell you, you know, to help support you financially. But definitely study abroad. Get that experience. I think it's really important to go outside of your comfort zone. I think my comfort zone was literally a tiny little box of Vegas, and Vegas is all I've known. But going abroad, meeting new people, making new friends, having that connection outside of the U.S., outside of Las Vegas, like, that's big too.
Okay, so we got some good keywords. You know, we have friends are important, so the peer relationship. We got networking. We also have, you know, trying to do things outside of what is your norm, so the study abroad piece. And then we also have research. And I'm going to tell you that if you're thinking of exploring those areas, now would be the time to do it. Don't wait until you get into a doctoral program like myself and then you have no idea what they're talking about. So that's just me sharing my tragic story. But yeah, so I encourage you, do it now on this level, ask those questions, and you have such a support here. So if I get the green light or the thumbs up, do we have time for questions and answers, or are we out of here? 2 minutes. Do I have any questions? Let's find a mic that works. Any questions in the audience?
Sure, I've got one.
Yay!
In order to work with the Academic Success Center or anything like that, do you need work study?
No. No. No.
You can buy the handshake. Okay, Dr. Shake, all right.
All right.
Wow,
Over there.
okay.
Yeah,
Look
so
at
if
you.
you want to know
Where?
more, over there, and also career services,
Look,
because
everybody,
they
I'm
know
telling
more
you,
about
opportunities.
handshake and everything like that.
All
But yeah.
jobs on campus are listed on Handshake, and no, you do not need an experience. And right now, career services, we have 3 positions coming up for August. So
Nice.
think about that. Tristan's job, somebody can have it.
Yep.
We have a question over here.
I do have a question about research. Some classes need you to get at least 3 credits in some kind of research, and sometimes they are not available. Any of these departments can help the students when that happens?
Wow. I think I can speak to that. If I understand your question correctly, some of your course requirements require that you earn credits based on a research or independent study, correct? Okay, I can definitely speak to that. The Urban Studies major has a capstone at the end called URST 493, so you enroll in an independent study with a principal investigator or advisor who basically makes sure to keep you on track while you're doing this project independently. I've also done independent study for my criminal justice minor, and what I did to fulfill that requirement was actually intern at the Brookings Institution, which is the world's largest policy think tank, in the foreign policy division. And through that internship, because it lasted basically through the fall semester, I earned criminal justice credit for just doing that. And professors and advisors are both happy to make it work somehow. So I would talk to your undergraduate coordinator. That's my best advice.
So let me ask you, does your primary investigator that co-signs for you to do the independent study, which is usually a faculty member, do they tell you what to research, or do you get to come to the table? Okay, go ahead.
No, ma'am. That's a really great question. I'm glad you asked it. Actually, in my most recent letter of recommendation, my principal investigator pointed out that it was super important to know that I came up with the research question myself. And it actually came up as a culmination of my coursework. I did a paper in a political science class that turned into a policy brief, which I'm now turning into a qualitative research study. And this has all happened over the years, okay, guys? Don't think that we were just born ready to research. No. I sent my paper to a couple experts in the field, and Dr. Patty Cook-Craig in the Urban Studies Department just happened to know about interpersonal violence and be a national expert on that. So I sent it to her, and she thought, oh, this is great, let's refine your research question. Once I did that, I was able to submit to IRB, which, if you don't know about research, is the institution that permits you to work with human subjects. So my research study is going to be an interview protocol, obviously necessary. So get familiar with all those terms. and you know, just because you don't have your research question basically parsed out doesn't mean you won't get to that point, so long as you have an idea.
So thank you for all this wonderful information that we gained today.
Thank you for being willing to share your story. And congratulations again to all of you on this significant milestone. I encourage you to continue to thrive, rise, and shine. I had to add that extra one because you don't want to just do it, you want to do it well. Okay, so that brings Janelle back up. Thank you, panel. I appreciate it.